inshallah, we'll make it exciting for everybody in that perspective, knowledgeable, as we've been seeing all of those sessions, alhamdulillah, really adding value to us all, not only from the collaboration and partnership that we've seen, not only raising that GCC momentum in many of those aspects, but actually building those bridges for more future to come, and everybody is again really have a chance in many of those things. One of those chances is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, that includes so many aspects there, and I'm sure you've heard of the attacks and the threat landscapes. You've heard of, I'll give you some of the examples of cases, which is as related to the why there is a cybersecurity council. So, and I'm sure you know in the region there, given the culture that we have, given the values that we have, there are so many attacks, given the position of UAE in a specific area where it is in the middle of the geopolitical aspects that we have. We've been seeing so many cyber attacks and threats you can ever imagine. And if I'm not saying, as a matter of fact, worldwide, UAE with this small landscape in that perspective, this is number 3 worldwide in getting all of those attacks. And this is attacks including ransomware. I'm sure you've heard of those ransomware that lock your systems and allow you to pay cryptocurrencies in order to reopen it. That includes blackmailing, and this is to the people who are actually their data, their privacy being invaded because of someone wants some money behind that perspective. That includes bullying our kids in the school, using some pictures here and there, using deep fake or any of the AI. That is, we are blessed with those AIs to actually allow those young generation to use that, but guess what? It was used in some of those bad cases that we're actually following up. Those includes, again, bullying. We have a case of a 12-year-old girl who until today not returned to school because of a bullying of such from her friends. And I'm sure you heard of some of the suicides, actually aspects happened because of such perspective. Technology, in the essence, it's not a technological problem. It is something that relates to people, to data, to processes, to governance, to all of those above. And this is why in UAE, we have 7 states. Those states have different laws and regulations when it comes to cybersecurity. The leadership and with the vision and many of those goals that we have set in that, all of those need to be umbrellaed by a one entity. And this is where, alhamdulillah, Cybersecurity Council was blessed to be actually created, and I was honored to be actually the head of that. Well, alhamdulillah, we took that in the past 2 years, almost 2 years and a half now, is the Cybersecurity Council. We took the UAE from the 47th ranking worldwide in cybersecurity, and today we sit in the 5th ranking worldwide, in the 2nd in the Arab region, and alhamdulillah going inshallah to number 1 as the vision that we have in that perspective.
Inshallah, Allahumma zid wa barak. So with that, let's say نقول perception on the why and the purpose, where you have said that, again, recapping very quickly, that our digital era requires the cybersecurity measures, and having a nation's unified council that governs and enables such measures is a must. It's no longer a luxury. I recall, Doctor, that the first news when it was a tweet on assigning you as the Excellency heading the Cybersecurity Council. All of us in cybersecurity groups, we were celebrating that news, because that was by itself something that was a pioneering for UAE to set on a high excellency level of cybersecurity personnel and leadership. So that by itself has been a remarkable news for us, Doctor. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, the outcomes is showing that that celebration is at its place. Allah yabarak feekum.
And we congratulate you as well, Doctor, on many of the efforts you've been doing, as a matter of fact. And the first time we met, almost those 2 years ago, Women for Cyber, I remember it's kind of a handful team, and even we see the pictures. If you see those time lapse in those pictures, and lately, last week, mashallah, you're talking about a whole Women in Cyber team. Yani you really build a very good community. Mashallah, we're talking here about hundreds and hundreds of people who are not only, again, users of these technologies and the things, but they are actually a creator of content, creator of a real cyber security and safety content that helps our kids, that helps our parents, as well as the community as a whole. So again, congratulations, Doctor, on that perspective. Always, thank you. Yes.
Doctor, يعني I believe there's a picture that can be presented there. You have been always the male ally for the women cybersecurity. And I recall that you were presenting once in Egypt, and our women cybersecurity of the Egypt branch started flooding us with pictures where you have shared on the stage, embracing and proud of our women cybersecurity presence in the Middle East. I believe we're very much blessed when we have leadership in cybersecurity from the governmental entities embrace such voluntary efforts in empowering women to support them in a very challenging field. يعني دكتور, if you can share with us, for me شهادتك الأمانة شهادتي فيكم مجروحة دكتورنا, بس I want all our audience here to hear and listen from your good selves what women has added. Why do we need to have women in cyber groups and associations to enable and empower women? Do they have an impact in cybersecurity?
So definitely they have an impact in our life and in cybersecurity as well. So allow me as well to give a simple analogy in that perspective. UAE vision is to really be the hub of data across the region, and it's already started that. Our vision of 2030 is not to build, again, technology or grab this, it's actually the data virtualization, and we have so many regions in this aspects. I believe you've heard of the sovereign cloud that we're doing with Microsoft. You've heard as well of AWS and the bigger region that they're bringing, Amazon. Google is building up as well their hyperscaler in the region, and with that, follow the data. And this is what we are actually doing. So with that data coming in the pictures, with that AI, as a matter of fact, will automate as well as compensate for so many of the lack of resources that we have. And it's as a matter of fact, a fact, especially in technology, especially in cyber. It's a lack of resources where we don't find or have so many talented in that. But guess what? Who's our main partner, especially in UAE, since we have a population of about 55% female, 45% male? We have to really plug into this great population. And this is what was actually seen by leadership some time ago, and they actually focused on that perspective. Cybersecurity today in UAE, as a matter of fact, in our national SOC. A SOC is a security operation center that actually monitors the whole nation from any of those attacks. We have more than 70% girls, ladies, who are actually working on that perspective day and night, working and focusing on analyzing. Because one thing I'm sure all of my, again, great feminist leaders as well as girls here, they are good analysts when it comes to picking many of those root cause analysis. In the cyber, whenever an event happens, you need to know why it happened. You need to know, is it someone insider? Your organization is actually leaking this data? Is it a vulnerability that was not patched, that was not taken care of? Is it, as a matter of fact, social engineering aspects that allows those users to click on a link or to open a file or to do any of those aspects? This is why the best people who looks in this is, again, with all our respect, is those, mashallah, reports that they bring to us is the girls. And this is where, not only from a percentage likelihood perspective, but also from the talent that they really proved themselves. And again, women in cyber, you've been seeing that so much. You've seen even, you heard in the clip, for example, we run the largest cybersecurity drill. And you're talking here more than 108, to be specific, countries, all coming to simulate and mimic a cyber attacks and basically see how to defend from that cyber attack. And we really reached to a very sophisticated scenarios that includes AI and includes many of those aspects. The first team, if you've seen that, they have ladies. And they're the one who actually really achieved that perspective, and they won the first place, alhamdulillah, on this. Today, not only from a business perspective and the actual national security aspects that they're adding value, but even from a social security perspective, as it's actually, they are either mothers, they are either parents, they are either sisters, daughters, you name it. And they are trying their best to spread this word, spread the cybersecurity culture. The more we spread that, the better our community. We have initiated, and you saw some of those pictures, something called CyberPulse, and a great initiative again with Women in Cyber. They're helping us in that CyberPulse. CyberPulse is spreading the cyber in the community and being our first line of defense. This families, this essence of a family, whenever actually they really learn about cybersecurity, this is where it's actually happening and changing the whole world. If you see the cyber crimes, for example, and I'm sure many of you have been either approached by a call or have been either approached by a WhatsApp message, someone wants to send you a link, someone wants to actually get into your system, or any of those social engineering aspects. I'm sure the first thing that you need to be aware of is to be vigilant, to be really your first line of defense for your data privacy. And who teach you this? It's your parents, it's your mother, it's your sister, who are really caring about those kids and whenever they see many of those things. And this is why, again, another great added value the women they bring to us.
This is music to my ears. Thank you so much, Doctor. And with that reflection of the impact that women adds, coming from Dr. AlKuwaiti, who's leading the cybersecurity in UAE, and of course we have seen your contributions on a global and regional levels. We've seen the GCC, and being one of the attendants and contributors there, it has been a remarkable experience. We've heard brilliant numbers of Guinness records breaking. I know that you have different tracks, even of entrepreneurship fostering. Just give those who haven't been having the opportunity to live that experience, give them with your own storytelling about GCC.
So GCC is, I don't know if you've been to many of those conferences of technology, similar in the US, RSA, Black Hat, or many of those great technological type of conferences here. So GCC is one of those great ones in the region. And here I'm talking in, again, a very geopolitical type of busy region. You will see more than 200 nations coming on that place. You will see pavilions of those nations, as a matter of fact, spreading as well as exhibiting their technologies. You will see people from those nations coming, as well as really sharing a platform for networking, working together, and doing many of those aspects. This year, GCC, again, as the doctor mentioned, in this perspective, really we're blessed with the largest cybersecurity coordinated with the United Nations under the ITU, International Telecommunication Union, where we gathered all of those nations, alhamdulillah, as well as really did that cyber simulating type of aspects. We are as well blessed with announcing many of the entrepreneurs, incubators of cybersecurity, where many startups, and we encourage here many of those who are actually in that field to really find the chance there in our region. You will see a difference. Many of them, alhamdulillah, have really coming from zero to hero in no time. You don't need to wait for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In 6 months, you are already hitting the road running. And this is how many of those, as a matter of fact, entities who are actually started there coming from overseas. And again, GCC was a great place where we awarded as well as recognized many of those entities. We saw the academia involved in there as well and doing CTF, capture the flag, type of a smaller cyber drill aspects where many of those academic as well entities have participated. We've seen women in cyber greatly, actually, with a great number, a large number of people there, a community coming together and really showing off not only from partnering as well as workshops perspective, but actually setting their lessons learned, how they actually been using many of this technology and really spreading it across many of the community aspects. we've seen so many things, inshallah, more and more to come in that perspective. And yes, we won 3 Guinness records, and the previous one, alhamdulillah, building up on the total of almost now 15 Guinness records on that perspective, as well as adding more and more, inshallah.
So with Guinness records, with women in cyber, with startups, with academia, with CTFs and building the national capabilities, all of that, and more, even sharing knowledge and expertise, all of that happened in GCC. And for those who haven't attended GCC, and of course we have GITEX as well, and Black Hat MIA, these are leading regional cybersecurity events where story happens and where magic also can be sensed. We know that global events happens around the world, but world-breaking records has been also done from the women cyber aspects, where in these events, and in GCC as well, the percentage of women in cyber speakers has broken the number of female speakers in cybersecurity events that is compared to global events, and specifically we have actually recorded similar comparison with the global ones. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, our Middle East region have proven that they are really the source of empowering women in actions and numbers rather than just logos or slogans. We actually appreciate our leadership, our governments, and our male allies for having that success, because without such sponsorship, that success wouldn't have been reality.
It's your effort, doctor, it's the women's effort. MashaAllah, they've been really engaged in many of those things, and we definitely just an enabler and an accelerator for that, continuing and working on this perspective together. And this is what we can say. Together, we definitely can make differences.
Stronger together always. So, Doctor, with that being covered, we can go also to the, and we have actually covered the what, and what are the objectives and missions of the National Cybersecurity Councils. The collaboration, Doctor, and the how portion, where how can you do all of that? How can you achieve all of that? You have mentioned through your answers, but I do know that collaborations comes into that equation of doing the missions and objectives of the national cybersecurity. Who do you require in your equation of collaboration? Who National Cybersecurity Council requires to collaborate within UAE and even at the regional and global levels?
It's a whole ecosystem in that regards, and we're here talking about even the society to be with us. Not only governments and entities in that perspective in a national level, not only vendors and companies in that aspects, but also even going a little bit further. As we know, cybersecurity does not distinguish between borders. Cybersecurity does not distinguish between people, between a company, between a country, between any of those things. When an attack happens, when an adversary wants something, he will go and get it. And this is why definitely we need that collaboration. We need that help from everybody on this. And that's why we have, you will see, partners with all of those nations, alhamdulillah, in that perspective, with the neutrality of UAE and their public as well as foreign policies aspects. You will see the vendors who are actually really joining us in many of those aspects. We've been actually hit with the largest cyber attack in the region recently in February, March type of timeline. The people who was with us is actually, you get a call from all around the world. How can we help? And this is really built in that relationship. And it was really a great unity of many of those entities who are actually came together in order to defend and protect the resiliency of the infrastructure, the resiliency of the people, as well as the digital assets and the money behind that. And this is what we see actually in this. Even the families, even those women in cyber who actually really train, especially under the Al-Imarat or Ittihad al-Nisa al-Aam, which is actually the women union in UAE. All of them, they've been actually really active in protecting and really adding value in that equation. And this is how the complexity is actually happening. So alhamdulillah, we need everybody, and this is the how. We've been going through all of those entities, trying to build those bridges for the future, and this is how we, alhamdulillah, gathered everybody in that aspects and trying to be really building this trust. And in cyber, Trust is very important thing to build. Definitely, as always, you can lose it by a simple attack or a simple thing, but having that trust in a solidified aspects, this is what we are really working on.
So, Doctor, while you're explaining that collective efforts, uh, since we're in Harvard, I have also reflected on one of the learnings that we have learned in Harvard from Professor Linda Hill, where she has a very well-known book called Collective Geniuses. And this means that each of us have portion of genius that we can collectively collaborate together and get a whole, a bigger, huge impact with that collaboration. I believe cybersecurity is the right place where collaboration is a must. And as we always say, stronger together, where us, it's not a journey of a person, it can be a journey of all of us collectively working together. And I recall one statement of, I believe it was back in 2017, where one of the cybersecurity defenders said, the cyber criminals always, have their collaboration in the deep or dark web. It's about time for us as good people and the good guys to collaborate. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, sitting here today, I've seen that collaboration culture has been growing enormously in sharing threat intel, in collaborating on initiative, building the national capabilities, and building our next generations. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, and we hope for more to come yet.
The more to come, if I may start with that as well, and everybody knows here, AI is actually taking over many of those things. So guess what on cybersecurity? It will increase, if not 2, 3, 5 folds, 10 folds. And this is what we've been seeing. AI being used previously by state actors. And this we've seen it in the past 5 years. Yes, there was AI 5 years ago, and we've been analyzing and working on that perspective. But guess what? Now, AI is in the hands of everybody. And this is why you will see the deepfake happening here and there. You will see the exfiltrating of data using a code that is generated by warm GPT. There is the chat GPT and there is a warm GPT which creates many of those exploits, and this it is used for actually creating many of those things. You will see AI in every single attack and even getting better and better as we go. And this is where one of the cases that you would, I don't know if someone here have received a message of WhatsApp, a hacked WhatsApp that asking him to pay. He knows it's from his friend, he knows it's his relative, and it's just asking him, sorry, Ahmed, I'm really in a stressful type of situation. Kindly send me $1,000 or $500. The attackers usually actually start with a smaller range because they don't want you to call. They want you to wire the money or do whatever way of actually doing that. And this is, we've seen it. So imagine now you receive a text message or actually a voice message of the voice of that person telling you with no single essence of doubt. You cannot distinguish that this is the real person or not. It's just someone who tells you, same as that message, tells you, I am Flan Leflani, kindly pay me this because I'm really in a stressful way, and you can wire it to me on this. And this is some of the cases we have. They only need this, as you've known, 3 to 6 seconds to mimic your voice, and accordingly allows you to actually be a victim of many of those deep voice aspects as well.
Okay. And just not to scare you about this is happening. However, when I first became to know about these attacks, we used, and I have my kids around, and I said, okay, whenever something like that happens or you receive a message from me, especially when money comes involvement, okay, we need to have a passcode. So when I do that, you need to verify with me, says, what's the passcode? And when I say that passcode, then you can do the transaction. And this has been shared with others. So you need to break the chain. There's always a way to break the chain. Whenever there's an attack, you can always break the chain. So just know simple password, agreed on you and your contacts or your relatives, that whenever I send you, because now with deepfake, it's making it harder, but humans are always more smarter by knowing where and how to break that chain. Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti, before sharing your last reflections and thoughts, I would love to know, because everyone keeps asking us, even in Twitter, Mohammed al-Kuwaiti, is he related to Kuwait, or what's the puzzle? Please, this is outside of cybersecurity, but again, this is from, لأن we have been asked a lot.
So I am Mohammed al-Kuwaiti من الإمارات, yes. بس الكويت عزيزة علينا. الكويت ما شاء الله قريبة جدا على الإمارات. And Kuwait is been there since the 60s, 50s, 70s in that perspective. Our education was from Kuwait. Our trading was from Kuwait. So we go back to a sub-tribe and the Al-Dhahri tribe. This Al-Dhahri tribe has a sub-tribe اللي نسميها نحن الفخوذ، فخذ من قبيلة الظاهري. As you know, the region was going through so much scarcity of water, scarcity of food, the trade, and many of those things. And only some of the ways that we or our sub-tribes used to go to Kuwait to do trading. And the way that they go and back and forth in this perspective, there is an area in Al-Ain city. If someone knows Al-Ain, there is Al-Ain city. There is an area called Kuwaitat. And this is how it created this name. As a matter of fact, from that trading, those people who comes from Kuwait to do trading there, where we go and back, they call them Al-Kuwaitat, and from that name, we get Al-Kuwaiti name. So it is definitely related to Kuwait. Now, alhamdulillah, we always appreciate all of the things that we really been through always.
واللي عمرك دكتور we're always one ويشرفنا دائما تكون معنا الله يحفظك يا رب وخليجنا واحد we always say that.
And that's actually the matter of this seminar, the GCC. It actually shows that Gulf unity in that aspect. So what you cannot find here, maybe you find it in alhamdulillah other state. Together we definitely become and shine in many of the aspects that is to come.
Very true, Doctor. And quoting Mr. Sam Badawi in his opening remarks when he said that usually he's being invited to attend Saudi's, let's say, event or Kuwaitis or Emiratis. He's very proud to see this one event that unifies and, collectively have all our GCC countries, students coming all around, speakers from the GCC here. So خليجنا واحد as a hashtag is actually booming, and we are here together. Inshallah, عسى ربي يديم هذه الوحدة always. Before closing and wrapping, I know that our people here we have students and we have also leaders. What are your reflections and golden takeaways you want to share for our audience to go back and do the impact, do the change?
So definitely the threat landscape is increasing. Definitely many of those attacks, either you or someone from your family will get attacked. Now, it's very important to really be vigilant, to really spread that culture of cybersecurity. And here we're not referring only to the social life or your personal data, but also your community data, your business data, your government data. You need to be your first line of defense. You allow this attacker to really not gain that from you. Allow yourself to add this value to you, to your community, and by spreading that cybersecurity culture, that's the message we always try to spread. Together, we will always do really a difference, and you are always the first line of defense. That's what we need to always convey to everybody, inshallah.
طبعا دكتور, you have changed the perspective, because every time they say humans are the weakest link, and for me, I really hate using that, because they are not the weakest link. Actually, they need education, and they can become the strongest link. And as you said, to become the first line of defense, this is even empowering them more and building that cyber-aware culture throughout our society with the help of our women as well, and all the members of the society. We can actually have them the strongest link and become our first line of defense. Dr. Al-Kuwaiti, I'm so much privileged. Thank you so much for sharing the reflections, and we hope we didn't bore you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.